Hey guys, it's Nemo and welcome to World of Warships. Today we have something for you that is a little bit, it could be considered gross. Not really on my end, I only do around 100 and something thousand damage, but we have myself, Bex and Penguin teaming up in double Smolensk midway in what we can just purely call Darwinism at its finest. Now, the Smolensk has recently come out into World of Warships. I got to test it, which I was pretty happy with because testing it was just incredible. The ship is extremely strong. Probably too strong. Now, you put two of them together with an aircraft carrier and it becomes disgusting. How's that? Anyway, the Smolensk is available for coal. It's about 224,000 coal out of the armory. The armament's not too bad. It has 1630mm guns, which can fire up to every. I think I've got mine at about 4.6, possibly 3.6. We'll have a look and check it out. But the whole idea of this ship is to ducka and just burn everything down. You only have about an 8% fire chance because you need to run IFHE, otherwise you just don't penetrate enough armour. Now, a lot of people will run this in smoke. Many people are having trouble playing this ship now because it's a very unique ship. If you've ever played the Kutuzov, you'll know how that plays, and this sort of plays relatively the same, just not at as long a range. The other thing that this ship can do that the Kutuzov can't is it can sit in its smoke and fire without having such a big smoke detection. The Kutuzov has a 7.7, I believe this has a 5.9. You can get it down. The build I'm running, as you can see, my air detection is also 6.7ish, and that's because I'm not actually running concealment expert on this ship. I'm running my Kiev captain, and you just don't need concealment expert. You've already got a relatively good concealment. You park up here like Bex and I behind an island and off you go. Now, unfortunately, nothing's really in range right now, but when you play this ship against ships that are pushing in, you can absolutely wreck everything that comes towards you. So we fire here, hoping to hit the DD. Our DD, the Kagero here, has been hit pretty hard. The Akazuki there is covering a little bit of beating. Now, this is another really good thing that the Smolensk can do. Now, you'll see both Bex and I start doing this, and we're just watching him, just waiting. Remember, I always talk about practicing smoke fire. Now, you don't really need to worry about practicing smoke fire in this ship. You just start firing and off you go. So the whole idea here, we were on comms, and the whole idea was that we're going to make him uncomfortable. He wants to stay in there and get that cap. He's going to have to be in there under a pillar of fire. So as you can see, I just set a fire on him, blind fires, not much damage, but really annoying this guy. Now, it just so happens that all these ships decide that they want to push against us. As you can see, that D8 and E8 area is just full of ships. But when you've got a double Smolensk around the corner here, it's really difficult to push in because of the constant rate of fire. It might only be 130mm guns, but that's, people don't like getting shot at, and that's what makes them uncomfortable. So as you can see, we're still firing away. He's just sitting in the edge of the cap, and so that's why I'm trying to fire in where that smoke is, just on the inside of those buoys. See if we can get anything, but he has moved around a bit, and hopefully he'll leave the cap quite soon. So smoke starts to disappear. Penguin's off just having fun, as Penguin does, and we get radared now. This is a pretty good position where we are. There's only one ship that's wide out there, and that's that Yoshino over there, but if he decides to come further or closer, he's going to be in a world of pain. Now, as you can see, Bex starts opening up, so because Bex is a bit closer than I am. I just want to move up around the near the island here, so that he's the only thing that's coming. Because what you want to do is just make sure that there's only one thing that you are fighting, because the Smolensk is very, very soft. She also has an extremely small health pool, as you can see there, that 35,900, but that is with survivability expert. If you're wondering why I have that, as I said, it's because I've got my Kiev captain. So Kiev captain works perfectly fine in this ship. So now this Yoshino, look at this, is coming under fire from both Bex and myself. Our Kagero has copped a fair bit of a beating, and all I want him to do is just stay here and spot, because if he doesn't spot, we're going to lose eyes. There he is. Not very much health left. So Yoshino keeps coming down. It's funny as later on, right, the Yoshino, which is a long-range gun cruiser, sort of sits towards the back and burns everything down. He's trying to push down the side to get something going. Now that's admirable, because that's what you should be doing, but you have to do it in the right ship. So Bex puts the Hydra up. Our Spidey senses were tingling. We were wondering where this destroyer was, and he catches him in the Hydra here, which is really good, because then it means that we're not going to get surprised. Now these two guys are very, very good players, both Bex and Penguin. Teaming up with them is always a pleasure because of the skill level, and that's one thing you always love doing. Like, it's great to go and play solo, and it's great to help your team out and your teammates get them better, but when you go and play with guys who just know what they're doing, it's just a comfortable game. And as you can see here in the chat, the Yoshino's bagging on his team. Admittedly, they're not in the best positions, I mean, but neither is our Yamato over on the one line at F1 there. And this is the other thing that the Smolensk is very good at. I don't bother running the defensive fire because it's really not necessary. You've got that much anti-air firepower, and when you run BFT and AFT on this anyway to get your guns firing faster and get your guns firing further, you're already doing more AA damage than what you probably would if you had the defensive fire anyway. So a radar here, we're not sure whether it's the Seattle or the Worcester, they're both in range, but both of them are going to have a really, really tough time. As you can see, like, Bex has got his smoke there, and even though we're radared, there's just no panic, because you don't need to panic. As soon as you start panicking, that's when you start making mistakes. So Bex drops off the torps. We both decide to target the Yoshino and finish him off because of his position. He's around our flank a little bit more. Now I've put my smoke up, and then I realised I was radar, and it's like, oh well, don't worry. So what we want to do is move close to the island, because as I said, remember, you want to make sure you're only fighting one ship at a time, because you can see me taking quite a bit of damage here. I am starting to melt away. It is a very soft ship, but it's very strong in the right hands. So we get rid of the Yoshino pushing around. Yoshino is another very soft ship as well. She might have very long range guns and very heavy hitting high explosive shells. They do a lot of damage when they hit, but really, really weak armor, very soft armor. You can penetrate it with almost anything, and that's why the Yoshino has to be played at that range. Turpich is coming around now. I switched to the AP here, but when I checked the statistics for this, I believe it said SAP, so it's supposed to be armor piercing, but on the statistics it says, so in-game where you can check your artillery, it says SAP, which is SAP, so semi-armor piercing. And it doesn't actually do too much damage unless you can hit stuff broadside in the superstructure. You hit things broadside in the superstructure at around 10 kilometers in this ship, and you'll do a lot of damage. But because you've got the IFHE, you just really want to run the IFHE. Even with the 8% fire chance, the amount of shells that you throw out makes this a very good fire starter. So we're about to start on these guys again. Bex and I are both going to come back and round to the south, more to protect Penguin than anything. You don't want to lose your aircraft carrier, but what you're going to see Penguin do is something that he's the only aircraft carrier player that I've ever seen do it. Now, he doesn't really do it as much when he's solo, but definitely when he's in a division. And if he's in a division of capable players that he knows are going to kill the enemies off or force the enemies away, he does this a lot. Now, what he's going to do is he's going to push his aircraft carrier up with us. The idea is that so many people, I don't know what it is, they have this crazy brain explosion as soon as they see an aircraft carrier that you've got to kill the aircraft carrier. But if you see a double Smolensk in an aircraft carrier division, kill the aircraft carrier last. You want to go after the Smolensks, because the reason is that they can smoke up, they can disappear while the aircraft carrier can spot for you. And then they can just throw out so many shells that you have no chance of living. Now, I was saying before that a lot of people have been struggling playing this ship, and one of the examples I use is a game, I think I was with King, I believe. I was in the Akazuki and he's one of my clanmates, and I was in the Akazuki, he was in the Kiev, and a Smolensk decided to smoke up right in front of us. It was about 8 kilometers away from where I was in the Aki. I was in the cap, and funnily enough, it was this map as well, on this cap out here. And he smoked up in that area around D8, and I was in the square at F9, and I just kept him blind fire, and I actually burned him down and killed him with blind fire with an Akazuki. It was just... So that's one of the things about how people are struggling to play this. You don't want to get too close, but you don't want to be too far away. And see how we used the islands at the beginning of the game? Use the islands at the beginning of the game. Try not to use as many of your consumables as possible to start with. And then late game, when you have all your smokes, when you have all your hydros or all your heals, you are a very, very strong ship. So as you can see, this Worcester is targeting Penguin and revealing himself, and so both Bex and I are able to open up on him while he tries to kill Penguin. But Penguin has so much more health in the midway than what we have in the Smolensk, and the Smolensk is that soft that the Worcester with her IFHE can absolutely wreck the Smolensk. She also has bigger guns. She's got 152mm guns with IFHE, which penetrate 32mm of armour, so quite a lot of firepower from that one ship. The only problem here is that she's trying to fight off 2 Smolensks, and that's not really cool. So I launched the torps behind. They're 8-kilometer torps, you get 5 on each side. They're probably not going to hit him, but they're at least going to make him think about going forward and not reverse out. Even if they're not going to hit him, even if they fall short, most players aren't going to try and risk reversing or running into torpedoes. So Bex cuts back in, Penguin cuts back in, and it's my turn to take on what is left of the Worcester. And here you can see the Worcester does hit very hard. He's hit me a little bit, but I'm going to melt him down because I have more guns and just dirty rate of fire. Down he goes. The North Carolina over there decides to have a shot at me, but he misses, which is good. The other really good thing about playing with really good players is that while I was gunning down that Worcester, it was Bex who was telling me, he said, right, North Carolina's fired at you, shots are on the way, be careful. And so I was able to just say, right, he's at 15 kilometres, that gives me enough time to manoeuvre and get out of the way. So now we just want to keep firing. We're almost done, everything's dying, and unfortunately we're going to win this game a little sooner than we wanted to. We all wanted to go and have a quick farm on the CV and see if we could get more damage. But not bad. But as you can see, this is why I titled it Darwinism. When you put top players together, top players just go crazy. So Penguins probably a whole handful of spotting, more than 100,000 damage easily, 5 kills between the divisions so far. If we can finish off this room and get in there, almost there, but if the rune dies then that'll be 6 kills. Oh, but the Alaska gets him instead. So still, 5 kills. A divisional Kraken is good because you're actually doing your job. So as you can see, 109,000 damage, 348 shells hit with 9 fires, 2 kills, quite a fair bit of money, and 1, 2 and 3 for our division. Beck's played really well there, and Penguin does what Penguin does. He had fun, he was loving it. Anyway, let's have a look at the Smolensk. So we're going to run all premium consumables. Now I run main armaments mod 1, protect those guns, they are very flimsy. Steering gears mod 1, but you can run any of those in that slot. And then aiming systems mod 1 for that little bit more accuracy. You throw that many shells, you probably don't need it anyway. Propulsion mod 2, so I can play in the smokes and around islands. Concealment, and then main battery for that faster firing gun. The main battery traverse doesn't matter, it's a 6.9 second spin on it, even though you're still running that negative 13%. Now as you see, it is my Kiev captain, so I have priority target. I would take AR next, and then you're going to want BFT to get your guns firing faster, AFT so you can get them out to 16.6, the IFHE so you can do more penetrating damage, and then those 2 skills, Last Stand and Survivability Expert, are there because, as I said, it's my Kiev captain. You could always run Superintendent if you want more smokes, more heals, and the Demolitions Expert would also be a good one too, a bit more of a fire chance. Anyway, the Smolensk is a fantastic ship. If you haven't got it yet, I suggest you get that coal quickly, save it, get up there, grab it. Don't worry about anything else. This needs to be your next coal ship because it is fantastic. In the hands of average players, it does a lot of damage. In the hands of extremely good players, it does incredible amounts of damage. Anyway guys, thanks for joining me. And stay safe out there.